Dear viewer, good evening and welcome to Spotlight. With me tonight at our studio, attorney Clarence Das. Clarence, welcome to MEA.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. I know you are a criminal attorney, and of course with a lot of experience. You've been with the. Before I start, tell me about yourself.
I appreciate it.
How you started and all that, and who you are, and what do you do?
I appreciate it. Well, the majority of my career
Yes.
has been with the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office.
Okay.
And I served as a prosecutor for 5 years, where I was basically representing the state of Michigan against people who have committed crimes. So
Okay.
everything from shoplifting at a store, all the way to sexual assault, domestic violence, murder, and the worst kinds of things you can think of.
I see.
After 5 years, I decided
Where do you graduate from?
I went to Wayne State University for college, and I went to Ohio State University for law school.
I see.
And after 5 years at the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, I felt it was time to take everything I learned and start helping individual citizens.
Great.
People that need help, people that have addictions, people that have been caught in the system.
Yes.
And that's why nowadays a lot of issues that are taking place nationally are affecting people back home. And that's one of the interests I have in helping.
Absolutely. Let's go to what the Trump executive order, which is the whole ethnic minorities in the whole United States talking about it. I could even say not nervous, not fearing, but nervous about it. And as ethnic minority, especially the one who came 10, 15 years ago, a lot of them, they still a green card. A lot of them probably they have a problem during that 15 years, and they fear the deportation. Can you tell me what's this executive order all about?
Well, here's what happened. So President Trump, within a week of his presidency,
Yes.
signed this executive order where he basically said people traveling to the United States from a certain number of countries, mostly Middle Eastern countries, are going to be scrutinized, they're going to be checked.
The seven countries.
Exactly.
But that was Obama's seven
Correct.
countries.
He chose, President Obama chose those 7 countries.
Yes.
But President Trump has basically taken those 7 countries and said, I'm going to make it stricter for people coming from those countries to come into the United States. So what happened was people were coming to the airport and being stopped and being questioned in different ways than they ever were before.
Okay.
That created a lot of fear for people all across the country.
Commotion,
because
throughout the world.
people like you and me have family members that live abroad.
Yes.
People in the community here and across the United States have family members that travel back and forth, and they were concerned they didn't know what was going to happen.
Sure.
He just changed that policy this week,
Yes.
and what he's doing now is saying that he's going to allow green card holders to have preference when they come back to the country.
Okay.
But he's changed it so that he's now going to affect people that are actually living in the United States.
So green card holder, can they leave the state and come back? Can they be like like before?
Well, right now it's unclear.
Okay.
Originally, under the current executive order, green card holders are still going to be treated stricter and more intensely than they were before. He's now changing that this week, and he's saying that he's going to give a preference to green card holders that allows them to come back into the country and travel outside the country. So he will not ban them from traveling in and out.
Okay. How about the people that they issue a visa for them, if it's refugees or tourism or work permit or a student, can they still come to the United States?
That's unclear. So that is what's caused a lot of fear and anxiety in people's minds, that the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State has not set up a policy yet in the first month of the President's administration to tell what's going to happen to all those people.
Yes.
So students right now, workers, people even getting married and coming through what we could call a marriage visa,
Yes.
have no idea what their future is going to be until a couple more weeks or a couple months go by where the President actually makes it clear.
Okay. Let's come to what your specialize is as a criminal attorney. For the people that they've been here 10, 15 years ago, and they commit a crime, if it's a smaller crime or big crime. We're talking today, the President and the Homeland Security and the Border Patrol and ICE. ICE is the police arm of the immigration. They've been aggressive. Even if somebody commit a smaller crime, a theft or something, and has been charged, now it's they could deport them. Tell me about that, because this is what you specialize in.
Right, and so like you said, I practice criminal law.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't understand is when you get convicted of a crime,
Yeah.
it's not just the crime that's the problem. What ends up happening is a lot of other consequences stem from that.
Which is?
So, for example, if you have a gun and you
Okay.
get convicted of a crime, you're probably going to lose your gun.
Okay.
If you have a
Family issue,
Exactly.
or, you know.
if
yeah.
you have a business, your business license, like a liquor license, for example, may get affected.
Okay.
What just happened this week, and with President Trump's recent executive order, is that he said that anyone who does not have citizenship papers or any documentation and has committed any crime is going to be subject to deportation.
No matter what's the crime.
No matter what the crime is. So it could be anything from a minor in possession of alcohol, someone, an 18-year-old that bought liquor from a store,
Okay.
all the way to shoplifting, drunk driving, possession of a gun, domestic violence, and murder. It's different from what the law used to be. The law used to be that there were only certain types of crimes that we call crimes of moral turpitude. That was
Yes.
the legal term for that.
Okay.
Only those people were subject to deportation. With this new executive order, anyone that has been convicted of a crime and does not have citizenship or documentation here can get deported. And the president has put resources and money to ICE and all those agencies you described
Yes.
to enforce that.
Okay. How about if a person who have a green card, okay, and he didn't apply for citizenship for some reason, he's been here for 10, 15 years, okay, and commit a crime?
I think that person is now, under this new administration, subject to deportation. And again, there's a lot of gray area because the president is doing this by executive order, which means it's not going through Congress. And so we don't have a lot of guidance about how it's going to work. But right now he says his priority is only people who have no documentation.
No documentation.
Exactly.
So if somebody had a green card and committed a crime, you know, probably he went to jail or something, and then after that, if he cannot apply for citizenship because he's got that felony or whatever in his record, those people, are they protected or not? Because this is a lot of them. There's, you know what, I know the community well, and there's about thousands of them.
I think right now they're still technically protected, and they're protected under the old law, which is the law that says only certain types of crimes can get you deported. However, I think that as the Trump administration continues and makes immigration, it's the center point of its administration, I think green card holders are the next people that need to be worried, because if they have a crime on the record, regardless of what the crime is, and they are not citizens, I think courts are going to start bringing them in and start checking into the record to see if they should stay in the United States.
Okay. Clarence, and I think this is very important questions. If somebody have a green card holder have a crime 10 years ago, is it possible that he could go to court and open his case and appeal to the judge to dismiss it? And if the judge dismiss it, he could be having the green card and then apply for citizenship. If you could give it to me in detail, please, because this is important to a lot of people in the community.
It's a great question, and it's a very important question. In fact, I would say 50% of my law practice is spent doing these types of cases.
So you are specialized in those?
I am. Okay. So what happened was in 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court decided a case called Padilla versus Kentucky. It was about a man who was getting deported, and he had committed a crime, and no one told that man that he had consequences to the crime, meaning he would get deported. So what the U.S. Supreme Court said was, if no one advised you of your immigration consequences after you committed a crime, we can reopen your case up. We can go to court, file a motion, and have a judge re-look at your case and see whether we can dismiss the charge entirely or whether we can try to get you a new sentence that will not affect your immigration consequences. We can reopen up each case.
Did you handle a few cases like this, and you were successful of dismissing the charges?
I have, and so before I was a prosecutor, I worked for a law firm where we did some of those cases. I've seen it also as a prosecutor, where people will come back and say, my attorney did not tell me I was going to go to deportation proceedings because of my green card. My attorney did not tell me. So what the courts have done now is they now, when you plead guilty to a crime, they read you something called an advice of rights. and it's you have the right to an attorney, you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to a trial.
Yes.
What they've done now is they've included you have the right to talk to an immigration attorney, and if you plead guilty to this crime, your immigration status could be affected. And so what's happening now is people are coming to attorneys like me, and I take on the case, I review the case, even if it's from 10 or 15 years ago, I open it back up, and I take it to court, and I tell the judge, no one advised this particular individual of the immigration consequences, and we try to get the judge to dismiss it.
Okay, that's very important. Let me give you an example. 10 years ago, a guy who got a green card, he left the store, probably he took cash with him, and there was a gun in the store, not registered to his name. He took it to protect himself. A police stop him. They charge him with concealed weapon, with no license and all that, and he was probably charged if it's went to jail or not. But that's in his record. Can you today, after 15 years, open the case? There is possibility that you could dismiss it?
Absolutely. So, and what the court has said is you can go retroactively and go back to old cases and open them back up. Now, the state court here in Michigan is still dealing with that issue, whether they want to bring it up via old cases or not. But the federal court, you can definitely open up old cases. There's a different way to do it, however, and if someone was not advised of their consequences, you can ask to have the entire case stricken, dismissed, because they did not plead guilty knowingly and voluntarily. That's the term that we use. If they didn't know that they were going to get deported, I as an attorney could file a motion and say, this person did not make a knowing and voluntary plea, and therefore you can't hold that person to the conviction. And we try to get that conviction either set aside or sometimes we get it expunged.
I see. Another area, we know down south, and we broadcast in all United States, down south, most problem is the Latino community and crossing the border and all that. But for the state like Michigan and New York and all that, they have border with Canada. Is that border reinforced? Is that border, because a lot of community, they go to Canada. They think in Canada it's 15-minute drive. I could go, and they don't think it's a different country. Tell me about the border with Canada. Is there reinforcement? Are they getting tight? What's your advice to the people who have a green card and have some kind of even a small felony it's a big case, but less than felony, to go to Canada? And tell me about this situation.
So after September 11th,
Yes.
the entire Canadian-United States border, as well as the Mexican-United States border, was tightened.
Yes.
And it was the first time in history that you had a database that all law enforcement agencies worked together. So if you got convicted of a crime in Sterling Heights, even if it was a local crime,
Yes.
they're going to know about it at the border.
Nice.
If you got convicted of a federal crime, they're going to know about it at the border.
Okay.
All the agencies work together.
All right.
Under the President Trump executive order,
Yes.
he has now said that he's going to enhance ICE, which is the Immigration Customs Enforcement, at the Canadian-United States border.
Okay.
Which means anyone that is not a citizen, green card, work visa, student visa, anything, is going to get questioned more, and they're going to be heavily investigated before they come in and out of the country, especially the people with crimes.
Okay.
So my advice to people would be, if you're going to go to Canada, have all of your paperwork with you, meaning your citizenship paperwork, your green card paperwork, as well as the paperwork regarding the crime that you were convicted of.
Okay.
So that if there's any dispute or disagreement at the border, you can show them your paperwork, and then you can call an attorney to speak on your behalf.
Do you think possible that at the border they could book them and deport them?
Absolutely. And what this recent immigration order says is, if you get stopped at the border, they can book you indefinitely, meaning they can take you into a holding cell and hold you there until they decide what to do with you. It used to be different. It used to be that if you were coming across the Mexican border or the Canadian border, they would book you and then they would release you and give you a court date to come back later.
Okay.
The executive order now says if you get stopped at the border, you sit in jail until they make a decision on you. And that's very scary for a lot of people in the Middle Eastern community because, like you said, people don't take it seriously going to Canada, even though they have crimes on their record. Nowadays, they're going to get stopped, and they may even end up in a holding cell until somebody figures out what to do with them. It could be weeks, it could be months. As you saw in the case of the airports that happened with this executive order, people were sitting in there the whole weekend just on vacation.
Sure, yeah, and then they put them in a consignment, and
Exactly.
yeah. Okay. Tell me more, because I want to come to you and talk about your office and what kind of cases you're dealing with. Do we miss anything about the executive order? Because that executive order create, honestly, fear in the community. And the whole community, because as you mentioned, I might have a cousin, I might have a friend, I might have, that could affect by that executive order. What are we missing?
Well, I think the most important thing to do, because again, we're starting only with people with crimes and undocumented, but I do believe, based on what the president said during his campaign, the next group is going to be the green card holders,
yes,
the visa holders, and they're going to make sure they know about every single person in this country. My advice to people would be, if you have not applied for citizenship yet, or have not sought papers or some legitimate way to be in the country, the time is now. You need to start doing that from now. And I can certainly guide people in the right direction, but my specialty is the people that are the most vulnerable right now. Mm-hmm. The people that have criminal convictions on their record, regardless of what they are. The people that have gotten in fights between family members that
yes,
the police get called to their house,
mm-hmm,
and the people that are oftentimes working in illegitimate ways, meaning under the table. And a lot of businesses will have employees working for them that don't have any documentation.
Can you tell me more about that? Because that's that's common things in the community, especially in the stores and all that, paying cash and, Tell me more about this. How could the store owner could be violating the law again toward this?
Well, I'll give you a great example. In Novi, a few months ago, there was a employer that had some Hispanic workers working
yes,
for him,
uh-huh,
and they were illegal immigrants,
yeah,
and the house burnt down,
yeah, yes,
and the owner now is being charged with harboring illegal immigrants in his house. So the same situation.
Did they charge him with paying under the table?
Yeah,
cash?
exactly,
Yeah.
and the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's other issues with IRS and things like that. What is happening now is for store owners, party store owners, liquor store owners, any owner that has people working by paying cash under the table, they're going to start raiding your stores, and they're
mm-hmm,
going to start investigating exactly what types of people you have. Not only are they going to get in trouble, the employees, for
mm-hmm,
being there illegally, but you're going to get in trouble because you should have known better. And you're basically breaking the law for them.
There is fine for that.
There's a fine. It's also
yeah,
a felony. It's a felony.
That's
so it's,
even worse.
A federal crime,
uh-huh,
and not even a state crime, but a federal crime to be harboring people that don't have citizenship papers.
Good. Any other thing? Because honestly, this is so helpful to the community, and it's an eye-opener now, especially in these days, for the community to take notes. It's not a business as usual. Today we are in different era. So
yeah, my advice would be, if you have any questions, if you've had a crime on your record,
yes,
or if you are not a citizen of this country, you need to contact an attorney as soon as possible and ask them the future of your status.
I see.
And you need to do that as soon as possible so that it's not too late. Once they come get you, once they start investigating you, it is too late.
Okay.
At that point, you're already in the system. Have a lawyer prevent you from getting in the system.
Okay. Clarence, how about if somebody, he's a green card holder now, and commit a crime now, tomorrow, drinking, driving, or carrying a gun, or whatever. But we know is going to end up court, probably jail, and then deportation. What should advise to those people?
They have to talk to an attorney
right away,
the minute they
yes,
get arrested.
Yeah.
Because the minute they get arrested, everything is going to be typed up on a police report. And if they don't talk to an attorney, they're going to speak for themselves. And oftentimes people in our community and in other minority communities do not know the law. And
yes,
they think that if they just tell them everything,
mm-hmm,
they're going to somehow help themselves.
yeah,
But the reality is they end up saying things that incriminate them and puts them in a worse position. So anytime...
It could end up in deportation.
Absolutely. And
yeah,
I believe they will end up in deportation
yes,
under this executive order.
Yeah.
So the minute you get arrested, the minute you get stopped by a police officer, tell them that you would like to speak to your attorney first. And let the police officer contact your attorney. I'm always available. There are so many attorneys in our community and in the state that will always be available to answer questions so that you do not make the wrong decision.
Okay. With this, tell me about yourself. Okay, your office, I mean. Where is your office? How people could get in touch with you? And what kind of a criminal act that you could represent your client other than the executive order?
So I appreciate that. And my office is in Southfield on Evergreen and Northwestern.
Okay.
And we're in one of the big buildings that are right off the Lodge Freeway.
Okay.
And
can you tell me your phone number, and
yeah,
if it's possible to put it on the screen?
Absolutely. It's
okay.
The phone number is 248-864-0533. And my website is thedaslawfirm.com, thedaslawfirm.com.
Okay.
And people can contact me through the website, and all of my information is there.
Can they call you?
Absolutely.
I see.
And my email address is there too.
Okay, great.
So I'm in Southfield, and generally I like to meet people face to face initially, and there's no cost to doing that, but I like to figure out what the problem is before I figure out whether I can help them. And I'm generally very honest with people. If I can help them, I will. If I can't, I'll tell them I can't.
Absolutely. And what other issue that you handle beside this?
So really I handle 3 areas.
Okay.
Criminal law, family law, and juvenile law. So criminal law is what we've been talking about, any crime. Family law involves divorce, child custody, people who are having disputes with family members, and things like that. And then juvenile law is representing kids who get in trouble in school, kids who get taken out of their homes because their parents are being investigated. All of that stems from my experience as a prosecutor, because when I was a prosecutor, I was in something called the Special Victims Unit. And the Special Victims Unit prosecuted crimes involving families, kids, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, people that we consider vulnerable victims. I'm taking that experience as a prosecutor and trying to help individual citizens to avoid getting in trouble with the law.
How about dealing with the drugs and firearms and
everything? So a lot of crimes I see are
I'm
drug
sad
crimes.
to say it. This issue in the community. Sad to say it.
Absolutely.
But it's in the community, and I would at least inform the community if they have this problem to contact you, to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So drug crimes. A very common issue right now is medical marijuana, and many members in the community are entering into medical marijuana businesses, and they're not following the rules, they're not understanding the rules, and they're getting arrested for being in that business. So I do a lot of drug crimes, gun crimes, alcohol-related crimes, and domestic violence crimes. There's a lot of domestic violence in our community, unfortunately, that people don't talk about and don't know about. But when they get to court, it doesn't matter whether you're Chaldean, Assyrian, Lebanese, you're an American.
Arab, we know, again, sad to say it, but a lot of kids in the community taking drugs.
Absolutely.
I mean, the drugs is going like cancer in the community.
And one thing I try to do that's different in my practice is I try to practice under a holistic approach. So if I have someone, for example, one big issue you just referenced is drugs and people taking even prescription medication, Adderall, Vicodin, painkillers, things like that. I try to connect my clients to resources in the community because of my involvement in the community to not only get their legal problem solved, but to help them get over the addiction. And that's different that a lot of attorneys don't do. But because of my involvement in the community, I'm able to connect them to those resources.
Well, can you mention your phone number and your website again?
I will. My phone number is 248-864-0533. 248-864-0533. My website is the Das Law Firm.
What's the first initial?
The T-H-E.
T-H-E. The. I said the.
Lawfirm.com.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Clarence. Honestly, you could play a major role in this community because we have those problems. And I'm asking the parents or any person in the family to face this problem before it gets too bad and contact you.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's good advice, and they should listen to you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Dear viewer, that was my interview with the attorney, Clarence Das. He's been an Oakland County prosecutor for 5 years. He gained a lot of experience and good contact in the court system in that county, and I'm pretty sure he's got in Macomb County too. So please, if you have any issue, any criminal, anything, you know what, let's face it before it gets worse, and contact Clarence. I dealt with him, and I know a lot of people who dealt with him, and he treated them fair. He cared about this community. He cared about getting, especially the kids in this community, out of problem and defend them in the court that he knows so well how the system works in those courts. So if you have any case, please call him, and we're going to put his name and his phone number and his website in the screen. Thanks for watching, and good night.